Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be showing you the full process of how I painted this mermaid, starting from the sketch and the watercolor washes at the very beginning for the background to the details of the face and the jewelry and the scales and everything. It's a pretty long set of videos. It's going to be a total time of about an hour and 40 minutes, but I've broken it up into parts that you can watch at your leisure. So I hope you enjoy this. Thanks. Starting things off here now with the sketch. I'm using a .2 mechanical pencil and I'm just sketching things in pretty lightly. I don't want to get too much graphite on my page because that's going to muddy up the watercolors once I start painting. So you don't want excess graphite, just want the minimum for you to be able to see what you have designed and what you have sketched. And I'm keeping things pretty rough. I like to do my final details during the painting process rather than sketching them in with pencil and line. I like to do that in the rendering instead. So this part is in time lapse, but we're going to slow down to real time very soon once I get to the actual painting. Here I'm laying down some initial background washes. I'm using a 1/2 inch flat brush and it's loaded up with a lot of pigment and a lot of water, and I'm painting wet and wet, letting the pigment flow and move on my page so that I get a lot of fun textury granulating happening as this dries, because that is going to be a really nice background water texture. Mermaids are perfect for this kind of thing. I have here my mermaid painting, and my initial background wash is dry now. Well, mostly. There's a little bit of wet edge up at the top, but I'm getting impatient and I'm not going to be touching that part yet with my layers, and so it doesn't matter if that's wet. I can let that dry. And this is the case with larger paintings also. It's much easier to do. In fact, when I have a very large scale painting, there's actually less waiting time in between layers because I don't have to wait for stuff to dry. I can always just move on to a different section while something like that is wet. Or, you know, even if this mermaid was like twice as big, then I could work on the upper half while the bottom part was drying. So that's kind of a convenient thing. Smaller the painting is, the longer wait times I tend to have because there's less area that I can swap back and forth between. Now I am going to take some yellow and you can see that I was not very careful about keeping in the lines with things. In fact, when I initially did the wash in the background up here, I kept a hard edge along her tail, but then later on I swiped with some a slightly damp brush just to spread that wash a little bit into the lines of the mermaid, because I actually don't want a completely hard edge finish over there. I want stuff to blend a little bit more. All right, I need a cleaner palette right now because my current one has a lot of dark colors in it. So let's get a fresh one over here. And that way I can get my nice yellows a bit more clean. And now I am going back in and defining the edges a little bit more. I'm blending this outwards from the mermaid's body. And same from her tail over here on this side. Softening up a little bit of that hard edge that got left while refining the edge that I want. Now, I want to blur and blend the colors around her fingers because I definitely don't want any hard ragged edges around there, except for the ones that will be for the final detail of her fingers. And same with her forearm. So I'm lifting actually right now. I'm scrubbing with water. Same with her face. I don't want any weird lines that are going to make her face look funny. Softening edges. Still lifting. This is just water that's on my brush right now. Alright, I think that is pretty good now. I've still got this weird edge over here that I don't like. I might turn that into a fin later because I can't seem to lift it out of the way. So that will be thin stuff. Let's start with some of that background seaweed. And I'm just glazing the layer of this deeper green onto that seaweed. It's kind of a kelp-like seaweed. I always like painting those little bubbly air pockets that they have that let them float. We have a lot of kelp forests in the ocean around where I live. I don't scuba dive, so I've never had a chance to see them up close in person except for in an aquarium type of setting. But even in an aquarium, they're really impressive, and it feels like you're in this mysterious, dark, underwater forest when you're among the kelp. It grows so thick. You can see it on the surface of the water, even when you're just on a beach. You can see the sea otters will be lying in it and the seals. And another frond up here. Now I'm just using some of the colors, some of those aforementioned darker colors that I have in my palette. I don't even know what's in the mix here. Some blues, some green, a little bit of red actually to mute the blend a bit. Actually, before I do that kelp there, I want to actually darken actually no, I'm going to go with the kelp. I was originally going to have this more of a little cave opening, but I think I'm just going to go with having the kelp close in around her. my pencil drawing for the cave opening has been pretty much obliterated anyway. And usually, before I go and do big washes like I did for this piece, I like to take a photograph of the sketch or scan it just so that I remember what was there in case I do what I did in this piece, which is paint a wash on top of it and make the pencil lines go away. That's okay though. It was a quick little sketch. It was more of a guideline of what might be rather than what has to be. This painting is a mixture of the planned sketch as well as just going with what happens here. I think I'm going to, once this stuff up here dries, I'm going to do some more layered wash glazes over the top, third maybe, and then pull out some negative space using white watercolor ground from among these kelp fronds. It's that look that I use a lot for dappled tree foliage in a lot of my paintings, but I think I would like to do that here in this kelp foliage as well. Yeah, that stuff is still too wet. I don't really want to paint any glazes over that yet because I want the color to build up over it and make it more intense and dark as I go. So yeah, the concept of this is changing even as I'm working now, because originally I thought maybe a cave type of opening with light coming here and a more tropical feel to it, even because you'll remember I sketched initially some coral bits, but now it's looking more like my own Pacific oceans and a cooler type of setting, more kelp mysterious rather than tropical color. I still want to leave a lighter patch right over here so that her torso and face really get highlighted in the focus of this composition. These are little kelp air bubbles, air pockets.